Hello everyone, Gerda Muller here, clinical psychologist and private practice success business coach and mentor with Private Practice Success Australia. Let's hope that we have a couple of people that's able to join me live this afternoon. It is school holidays here in Brisbane, so if you hear thunder noise, no, we do not have a storm. It is my boys running up and down on the top level of my house. Okay, and they might just come and video bomb this live stream. So how are you going? Please say hi, say hello when you join me live. And if this is your very first time joining me live, let me know, because that is pretty special as well. Hey Michelle, how are you going, and how's school holidays over in New South Wales? Is it pretty hectic the way it is here? No, it's not really hectic. It's just, I consistently hear I'm hungry, which is very interesting. That's what I hear consistently. All right, let's see if we might have a few other people join us before we get stuck into our topic today, that is what to do when imposter syndrome keeps sticking around. Michelle says, loving the holidays. Fabulous. I hope you're having plenty of time off, Michelle. Plenty of time off. I have spoken about imposter syndrome probably a couple of times in various formats and forums over the last couple of weeks. And the thing with imposter syndrome is that it is something that tends to stick around. So annoying, right? And you know, I would suspect that you might be struggling with imposter syndrome. I know from time to time it still rears its ugly head in my life. Michelle, it might rear its ugly head in your life from time to time, or for you that might be watching this recording at a later time. It happens. It's not something that we share openly with other people when it helps. When it happens, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Now, this morning I was on my morning run. My morning run has been really hard the last 2 days for various reasons. The two most important reasons, one is that I hadn't run for the previous 10 days because I really had a bad case of the flu. Then I went over to Hobart in Tasmania for a weekend retreat, didn't run then, so my body had to get used to getting up and going for runs in the morning again. Michelle says, yes, definitely rears its head from time to time. I'm glad you agree and that you can relate. Not that I'm glad you experience it, but you can relate. I think we all can, especially when we are clinicians trying to run a business, not even to talk about just feeling like an imposter as a clinician, especially when you are a new grad. We've all been through that as well, right? So first of all, I had this break in running, and it's like your fitness just like goes downhill so quickly and you need to start again. And the second reason why it's been two really difficult mornings of runnings is that I've been taking my husband's dog, Mishka, that is a husky, to run with me. So I've got my own little dog, Biscuit. He's right over there sitting. Hey, Biscotti, want to come say hello? He is a Pomeranian. Want to come say hello? Hop on, say hello to the people. Say hello. Here we are. He is always where his mummy is. Yes, very well behaved. You can sit here with me. So I would normally take Biscotti, but my husband hasn't been able to take Mishka out, so I've been taking her with me. And it is like I have a running coach, because she just wants to run the whole time. She encourages me to run more than I normally would. I get a stitch within the first 200 meters, which never happens when I go without Mishka. Definitely doesn't happen when I go with Biscotti. It's just like she just wants to go, 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 go. It's like she's got this sleigh behind her and she just wants to pull. And she's a puppy still. She's 6 months old, so she's still learning all this stuff and she's got so much energy. But it means that my morning run has been very, very tiring. And it was during my So we do interval running. So we run and then we walk, and then we run and then we walk. And it was during one of the walks that I had the thought of, I want to post up a photo on my Instagram account as well as on my Facebook. Michelle says free personal coach. Yes, a free PT. I don't even have to pay for it. And I was walking and I thought, I'm going to put up a post, take a photo of Mishka walking and put up a post and brag about the fact that I now know what it feels like to have a trophy girlfriend or a trophy wife, because people are like stopping me the whole time. Every time I go past somebody else who's running or walking their dog, they like, I'm still coming and they're already bending down to pat her, ask who she is, what's her name, is it a husky, which is obvious, but people still ask. It's a way of starting conversation, of course, and just telling me how beautiful she is. And I thought, I'm going to do that post and say, turning heads, this is what it feels like to have a trophy wife or trophy girlfriend. And for a millisecond, there was this little voice in my head that said, oh, Gerda, that's politically incorrect. You should not be encouraging the notion or the thought of having a trophy wife or a trophy girlfriend, because of course that's not good for females, for the female species to be considered in that way. And then I was able to quickly shut that down. But then it started to get me thinking about those little voices that we all have from time to time. And it would be so easy to give into that voice. And that's that very much that imposter syndrome voice. It would be so easy to go, oh yeah, I'm rather not going to post it because I might actually offend someone. God forbid I offend someone and they message me over Facebook or they email me or they make a comment to say that, oh, Gerda, you shouldn't be saying that. And you know what? I suspect, because I am a psychologist, because I am an allied health professional, I'm actually even more careful in terms of going, or not more careful, but more mindful of people being very quick to judge what I say and what I do. All right. Why? Because as a psychologist, you have this extra responsibility about the stuff that you say. But then I started thinking about it and I go, you know what? I have actually never censored myself. I have always been politically incorrect, not because I plan to, but because sometimes I just don't know that I am being politically incorrect. And I think that sometimes happens when you are a migrant into a new country. Because although our cultures, where I come from, South African and then the Australian culture, have so many similarities. I mean, we love a barbecue and we love our sport, right? And we love good weather. I think that's the top 3 things we have in common. There's a lot of other cultural differences that you only learn in your day-to-day life as a new Australian when you come into the country. And I think as a result of that, I've often put my foot in my mouth. I've often said the wrong thing. And, people will let me know when that happens. But the fact of the matter is, despite having often been politically incorrect, I have still managed to build not 1, but 2 7-figure group private practices. That's 2 businesses that makes a lot of money. And more importantly, that helps so many people. I, as a clinical psychologist, have been able to help hundreds and hundreds of clients directly, even though at times I'm politically incorrect. And I have even put my foot in my mouth in session with clients. But the thing is, my clients have always known that this is who I am, that I do not wear a mask. This is Gerda, the Gerda that you see as a psychologist and the Gerda that's out there in normal life. I actually once had a client come into session, and this was just when Facebook got started and I had a Facebook profile. I didn't know yet how all the settings and privacy stuff works. And she came into session and she said, Gerda, do you know that your Facebook profile is public? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, because I looked for you on Facebook. And she said, I did stalk you a bit, but in a loving way. She said, I looked for you and stalked for you on Facebook. And I can see all your photos of your kids, stuff you've done this weekend, everything. And I went, oh, I didn't realize that. But then I used it therapeutically to talk about, so why did you decide to look me up on Facebook? What made you do that? And she said, I just wanted to know how my psychologist is outside of the session. I really needed to know that the person you are in here with me is the same person that you are out there, and therefore the fact that you are genuine, right? And I said, what did you find? And she said, you are exactly the same, and I can see traits of you on Facebook that I've seen in here. And I think that, people, is the secret sauce. It is not about and by the way, I did fix up my profile settings subsequently, but it is not about wearing a mask. You don't want to do that. And it's not, I think clinicians are often worried that if they are too much of themselves, that they will be crossing a boundary. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, you, the person that you are, is so important, because you are the secret sauce in that session with your clients. Okay, you are the thing that makes it different. We can be a whole room full, 100 psychologists going to a cognitive behavior therapy training, or going to an acceptance and commitment therapy training. We can take the exact same content, put it in our heads, be able to recite everything at the exact same level, but when we go and deliver it in session, we are going to do it differently. Why? Because we are all unique individuals. All right, and it's really about owning that, not trying to be somebody that you are, but being okay with who you are. Scotty, what are you doing? Trying to get out. He's like scratching at the door. What's going on outside? Did you hear the boys running out? Do you want to go play? We're almost finished here, my love. Michelle says, yes, imposter syndrome can lead people to be risk averse. Exactly. And you know what? That just holds you back. If I, were to beat myself up, give myself a hard time, or stop being me every time I put my foot in my mouth, I would not be where I am today. Okay, believe it. I still have little slip-ups. I've got much better in knowing what the culture is in this country after being here for many years. I love the culture, but sometimes I still get stuff wrong because I don't know all the history. I didn't go to school here, and maybe if I were to go to another country and live there, I would be even more politically incorrect. It's a learning process, and it's about giving yourself permission to learn it and to never hold yourself back, because when you stop being you, that's when you're going to get really frustrated. Everything's going to be emotionally draining. You're going to think 3, 4, 5 times about something before you do it. And that's going to lead to avoidance, to frustration, and just not getting to where you want to get to. So it's really an important mindset switch to go that I am the secret sauce, me, and I'm proud of it. And the way I engage with my clients, build rapport, and deliver the treatment, the therapy, is part of what makes me unique. It's part of what makes me a standout clinician, and that I can still be very successful, even though sometimes I'm going to slip up, even though sometimes I'm going to make mistakes, okay? I'm going to stumble. I might not fall, but it's a stumble, and a stumble can be very embarrassing. This has happened to me so many times where I'm like in the shopping center and for some reason I just want to fall over my own feet, or I don't see a little step and I stumble. It's like, oh my goodness, I must have looked like an idiot. So a stumble can be pretty annoying as well, but remind yourself it's not a fall, it's not a fail, it is a stumble. Michelle says, I'm the secret sauce. So you are, Michelle. So you are. And if you are struggling with imposter syndrome, whether it is for you as a clinician, whether it is for you as a clinician that is now a practice owner, which is therefore now a leader of a team of clinicians, which is now a manager of maybe a team of admin people, it's gonna happen. And what I want you to know is that if imposter syndrome is something that pitches up for you, Michelle says that cracks me up, that arrives for you and you go, I've thought about it, I've worked through it, I've reflected on it, but it keeps on showing up, I want you to remember that it takes time to get rid of that beast. All right, it takes time. If you imagine a client that you might be working with that struggles with perfectionism, okay, or a client that struggles with beliefs about not being worthy or not being good enough, we know it doesn't matter how experienced, highly skilled I am as a psychologist, I cannot fix that. I can't even help the client fix it in a minute, an hour, even a day or week of therapy. It takes time. And something that I often tell my clients, hey Frank, thanks for joining and hopping on. A phrase that I use so often with my clients is the importance of trusting the process. That in therapy, you do not get better in session. You get better when you pitch up in session, you engage, you participate, you challenge, and then you take that stuff and you go and apply it every day in your life. And then maybe in a week or 2 weeks, you come back into session and we talk through it. What worked, what didn't work. Awesome, it worked. Now let's move on to the next step. And we talk about what that is, how you're going to implement it, what needs to happen, what resistance you could expect. And then you go out and you implement the hell out of it again. It is a process, but if you are willing to trust the process, you will get better. I think very often people have a perceived negative experience with a psychologist and maybe even other mental health professionals because there's this expectation that you're going to get better in a very short space of time. And unfortunately, there is no magic bullet. You need to trust the process. All right. It is so important for that consistency to happen. And it's almost like I often equate it to recovering from a broken heart. I'm not sure if you have had your heart broken. I know I have. And it's like every day you wake up and it hurts. It is so painful. And you just think, when is it getting better? When is this going to stop? I just want to go back to sleep because it's too hard to bear. And then you go through your day and you plod along and you go to work and do what you need to do. And then the next day you wake up again thinking, I'm still feeling the same way. And it goes on and on and on until one day, out of the blue, you wake up and you go, wow, I'm feeling better actually. Okay, it's not that bad. And that's because healing from something like a broken heart, the grief that comes with it, sometimes anger, denial, all of that stuff, it takes time to heal. Okay, it takes time. And it's the same with therapy. Let's say if you start and you're very depressed, it's going to take time for you to get to that day where you wake up and go, oh my goodness, it has actually paid off. This time and effort that I've invested into my mental health, it has paid off. And as psychologists, we know it will pay off. We know because we've worked that process so often with clients. And I want you to, and I'm telling you this because I want you to relate it to yourself as a clinician, that if you've got that imposter syndrome, if you've got those times when you don't feel worthy enough as a clinician or as a practice owner, leader, manager, to also have that compassion with yourself and know that every day you need to work on it. All right. So every day you need to again decide that I'm good enough as a clinician. I am good enough as a practice owner. I am worthy to be a practice owner. I am worthy to lead and manage this team of mine. Okay, you need to decide it every day, and that's where our own mindset work comes in. Now, what is mindset work for a lot of people? That could be meditation, it could be journaling, and it's really about finding that time in your day. So for me personally, it's when I go on my run in the morning. That for me is my mindset work, where I think about stuff, where I remind myself who I am, what I'm here to do. Before I was running, I actually did do journaling. I still do journaling, but currently a lot of that is taken up in my running, so my journaling time is much shorter. And as you can see, it changes over time as long as you do something to work on your mindset. So in the early years when I wasn't working in PPS, when I was still at the practice, I was going into practice every day, and I didn't have the time freedom I have right now. What I would do was journal, and a lot of people encouraged me to do it in the morning. You know, just wake up an hour before the kids or half an hour before the kids, and it's like, I can't. I'm not a morning person. I'm a morning person from after 9 o'clock, but I'm not like a get up at 4 o'clock morning person. I can do it for a couple of days and then I fail. I just can't do it. All right. So for me, what worked was to write in my journal before I went to bed. All right. So I would write in my journal then after my kids were in bed, after I've been a practice owner, been a psychologist, been a mom and a wife to my hubby, you know, done everything, I would come back and do my mindset work. And then I would leave it next to my bed. All right. Michelle says, I do my mindset work in the car or the shower. Good. I like the shower as a brilliant place for new ideas, Michelle. And then the next morning when I wake up, okay, I have this ritual. When I wake up, I normally, the first thing I do, excuse me for being blunt, is go to the loo. So I would get up, take my book to the loo, and whilst I'm on the loo, I'll quickly scan through what did I read, what did I write, that's the right English, what did I write the previous night? And it would be this reminder. So I went to bed with those thoughts, which encourages calmness and resolve, and then in the morning I will remind myself about it again. So it's faster than having to write, because I just didn't have the time in the morning getting 3 kids ready for school, all of that stuff, because my husband at that time, he had a job where he had to get up at 3:30 to be at work at 4 in the morning. So all the school stuff, run, breakfast, all of that stuff was on me, and it was very, very hectic. I guess the bottom line is, when it comes to mindset work, find what works for you. Don't go, this is what my friend's doing, or this is what my peer or colleague is doing. Even if you find 10 minutes during lunchtime, do it then. Okay, hey Tony, thanks for joining. It's about really going, what works for me, my situation, my lifestyle, my environment, my family. What is flow for me? What is comfortable for me? Thanks, Abby. Abby's just letting me know, Gerda, you've got 15 minutes because I'm doing another live stream at 2 in my Inner Circle 2.0 group. So I will be on time. So it's about finding what works for you. And again, not going, oh, that person says I need to do it that way, or Gerda says I need to do it this way. Find what works for you until you find something that you can do consistently, so that every day you can make that re-decision. And you need to decide every day that I am worthy of being a psychologist. I am worthy of being an OT, a speech pathologist, whatever type of allied helping professional you are, that I am worthy of running this business called a private practice. You know, I might still be learning a lot of stuff, but I am doing my best. And therefore, I am worthy to do this. Yes, I will take the steps to learn more stuff, but I'm good enough to do this thing. All right? You wouldn't have started if you didn't know somewhere underneath all of the other excuses, or not excuses, judgments and criticism that you're not. There's something in there that knows you are good enough. But what happens is those critical voices from people, whether it's from childhood, whether it's from your teenage years where maybe you were bullied or whatever, maybe it's from sisters and brothers, from family. It's those critical voices is the stuff that breaks you down. And sometimes you take those voices on and you fuse with it. So it becomes that voice in your head, and it's about going, whose voice is that? I would not have started this journey if there wasn't a grain of seed in here that knew that I can do this, that I am meant to do this, that this is my purpose on this earth, okay? And you want to get back to that, and you want to filter out all those criticism and water that little seed so that that can grow, okay? And you can become the practice owner and the clinician that you were meant to be. Michelle says, I'm going to add I'm the secret sauce to my mindset work. Because you are, Michelle, you are. Hey, Monique, thanks for hopping on. Be sure to watch the first part. I think this is a really important live stream to listen to in its entirety, in full, whatever the English word is, to really get the message from this. All right. So I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments on all of these things. It is so important to kick that imposter syndrome. If I think about this weekend experience that I just had where I went to Tassie, to Hobart specifically at retreat, and just the amazing stuff that happens at retreat. If you want to get rid of imposter syndrome, okay, once and for all, and you want to get that boost that's going to take you to that next level, I would highly recommend you consider doing a retreat. I've got one coming up in October. I think it's around about 10, 11, 12. I don't have the exact dates in my head. 3-day get it done retreat. Yes, we do a lot of stuff, but the mindset work that happens there is just priceless. I have had so many people tell me that when they've booked into my previous 3 retreats that I ran, it was to get a space, to get away from the practice and just get through their to-do list. But inevitably, when they come into the retreat space where they are surrounded by myself, that's built 2 7-figure businesses, they are in that space with my principal psychologists that currently run 2 7-figure businesses on my behalf. And they come into that space with my admin team leader and with my accounts person. And they, very importantly, share that space with other practice owners at various levels. They get like, just, what's the word? They just step up, they up level, and they step into the light and they go, oh my golly, I know I can do this. This is the potential. It's like the blinkers go off, the blinkers that were on their eyes of what they can achieve. And that's the amazing space that happens at retreat. And I often think that people actually benefit more from the mindset shift that happens when they come to retreat versus the stuff they get done. They get lots of stuff done, but they walk out of there having stepped into the next level them as a private practice owner, the next level them of a clinician, because something happens generally, sometimes on day 1, generally on day 2, where it's just this switch that gets flicked and they step into that next level because they believe. They know they can do it, and it's almost like that little seed just starts to bloom. And for me, it is such a privilege to see that. So if you are interested in the Get It Done retreat, I'll put the link in the comment section. Let me know. There's limited spaces available. I think at last count was 2 or 3. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check with the lovely Abby, my PA, but I will let you know. All right, what's the time? I need to go to do a live stream in 9 minutes for my Inner Circle 2.0 group. I might sneak in a cup of coffee before them because I'm probably going to talk for a whole hour with them. We've got a really interesting training that I'm doing this afternoon. I love to hear your thoughts on everything that I've shared here. And remember, guys and girls, as always, all you need to do is say yes to your very own ultimate level 5 private practice. And I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.